Welcome to Levant TV headlines. ISIS has released 93 Syrian Kurds it captured in February as they made their way from northern Syria to neighbouring Iraq, according to Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. And Saudi police have arrested 6 suspects after masked gunmen killed 5 and wounded 9 ahead of the Shiite festival of Ashura. Chief Palestinian negotiator Saeb Erekat says Israeli plans for roughly 500 new settler homes in occupied East Jerusalem are a slap in the face of the United States and the international community. The Libyan parliament speaker Aguila Saleh says an ongoing visit by a number of lawmakers to the southwestern town of Ubari was aimed at ending weeks of deadly fighting between 2 feuding tribes. And US Vice President Joe Biden had denied a report by the White House that he had apologized to Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan for saying that Ankara had been funding the ISIS terrorists. Now let's have a look at top headlines in today's newspapers in the Middle East. Starting from Beirut, the Daily Star leads reporting that Hezbollah chief Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah has boasted that his party had the upper hand against Islamists in Syria, while warning Israel that the resistance was ready for any conflict on Lebanon's southern border. The paper also reports that Israel's parliament has passed a law that could block the release in any future peace negotiations of Palestinian prisoners convicted of murder. From Cairo, the Egypt Independent leads reporting that Ansar Bayt al-Maqdis, Egypt's most active militant group, has released a statement saying the group has sworn allegiance to Islamic State. The paper also reports that Justice Minister Mahfouz Saber praised talks held in the Swiss capital Geneva over restoration of Egyptian smuggled assets, saying there are moves to expedite measures of restoring the money. From the UAE, the Khalij Times leads reporting that Washington has imposed tighter security screening for travelers from countries mostly in Europe and Asia, whose citizens do not need a visa to get into the United States. The paper also reports that Israel has approved plans for some 500 new settler homes in occupied East Jerusalem, a watchdog said, a week after a government pledge to build the structures drew Palestinian ire. And now let's have a look at top MidEast headlines from papers here in the UK. The Telegraph leads Middle East news reporting that a major Iraqi fightback against the jihadists of ISIS will not start until next spring, according to leaks of Washington's strategy for war. Iraqi ground troops will lead a counter-offensive in the west and north of the country, aiming to cut Islamic State of Iraq and the group's supply lines to Syria, to force them back on Iraq's second biggest city of Mosul and retake it by the end of 2015. Also from the UK, the Independent leads Middle East news reporting that a video has emerged purportedly showing ISIS fighters haggling over the price of a captured Yazidi woman during a slave market day. The men discuss how much each slave is worth, with one fighter claiming that he will pay more for a girl with blue eyes and another saying he wanted a 15-year-old girl with green eyes. And The Guardian reports that the Ministry of Defence has put its program to train Libyan soldiers at an army barrack in Cambridgeshire on hold after it fell into disarray. Almost a third of recruits have already been withdrawn, and there have been a series of criminal charges and convictions for sex offences. Now let's take a look at top MidEast headlines in international papers. From Germany, the Deutsche Welle reports that the US Supreme Court appeared divided as it opened a hearing asking whether American citizens born in Jerusalem should have their place of birth listed as Israel as opposed to Jerusalem on their passports. The specific case was filed by Ari and Nomi Zivotofsky on behalf of their son Menachem, as lower courts refused to rule on the matter, given its sensitivity. And finally, the International New York Times reports that the human rights group says patients infected with HIV are being ordered out of hospitals in Yemen, even when they are in dire need of care. Human Rights Watch said a woman suffering from seizures was ordered out of a large public hospital by a doctor shouting in front of everyone in the emergency room that she had HIV. And for more updates, please visit our website levant.tv. Thanks for watching. Be sure to join us again tomorrow, and bye for now.